without his father next to him. A man who always, on many occasions, when he would walk in Medina, incidents would remind him of his father's martyrdom. Imam Zayn al-Abidin, years after Karbala, would walk in Medina. And when walking in Medina, many incidents would remind him of what happened to his father. On one occasion he narrates that when I was walking, I saw a man who was slaughtering a sheep. Before he came to slaughter that sheep, I came towards him. I said to him, do you mind if I ask you a question? He said, go ahead and ask. He said, I want to ask you, the sheep you have in front of you, or any of your sheep, before you slaughter them, do you provide them water? The man replied, of course we do. He said to him, why? He said, because the sheep is a creation of God that should not die thirsty. Rather, its thirst should be quenched. Therefore, in our teachings, we provide it with water. He replies to him by saying, oh man, do you know my father? He was killed in Karbala with no one quenching his thirst. On another occasion, he says that I saw a man and I said to him, that when you are to die, do you expect people to bury you? He said, yes, of course, my friends would bury me. He said, when I die, would you bury me? He said, yes, of course, I would bury you. He said, my father died and for a few nights there was no one to bury him in Karbala. Incidents would remind him of his father's death. Imam al-Baqir to the extent says that my father Zayn al-Abidin, when I was giving him ghusl, I saw the marks on his neck and I remembered what they did to him on his way towards Sham, the chain that they had put around him. Yet Zayn al-Abidin reminds us himself that his greatest ever masa'ib was when he had to come and bury his father. For it is harrowing for those of you whose fathers died a natural death to see your father go in his grave. And if your fathers died of an illness, it hurts you, those of you who've lost your fathers. Yet to know your father's body was mutilated on plains of Karbala, how must you feel when you are the one who has to come and bury him? Many people find it harrowing to narrate how he buried his father. Yet within the burial of his father, there are some incidents which are too hard to describe for anyone to bury his father. Yet Imam Zayn al-Abidin described these incidents. He says, and it's narrated, that when all the families had left to go towards Kufa, it's narrated that Banu Asad, one of the tribes of Arabia, had come towards Karbala. When their woman had come towards Karbala, they had seen Karbala with graves, with bodies one way and another. The woman came forward and they came near these bodies and they began to cry, saying that the family of Rasulullah has been killed on Karbala. They went back towards their tribe and they came to the men of the tribe and they said, oh men, you were not with Hussein ibn Ali in Karbala. At least honor him by going and burying him and his companions. For a few nights no one had buried them. The men replied back by saying, we do not mind burying them, but we are scared Ibn Ziyad and Umar bin Sa'ad may come and catch us. So the woman replied to them by saying, the best thing for us to do is to come and try and bury them, and the other half of us should do what? The other half of us should stand and watch, just in case Ibn Ziyad returns and catches us. They say we approached Karbala after everyone had departed from Karbala. They said we came towards Karbala. Listen to their words. They said we came towards the holy bodies in Karbala, and the first body we went to was the body of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. They said when we came near the body of Imam al-Hussein, listen to what the woman said. They said some of the men tried to lift his body, but they couldn't lift his body. I cannot imagine how you lift a body full of arrows. I cannot imagine how you lift a body which is ripped from one way and the other. They say that we tried to lift the body of Imam al-Hussein, but that we couldn't lift his body. So what happened? They said at this moment we wanted to go and lift all the other bodies, but we looked at each other and we said we do not know which head belongs to which body, because there were bodies in Karbala but you could not tell which one belonged to the other. Therefore what happened? Therefore at this moment it is narrated that they saw a man who came towards them in Karbala. He said to them, "O Banu Asad, what are you doing here?" They said, we replied to him by saying, "We have come here to look at the bodies." He said, "No, truthfully tell me, what are you doing here?" They said, "Oh man, we do not know who you are, but the reason we have come to Karbala is to bury Abu Abdullah al-Hussein." He says to them, "Leave burying Abu Abdullah. Let me guide you how to bury the bodies." Listen to what he says to them. They say, "At this moment the man came and he told us, 'Come with me and I will teach you which bodies to bury where.'" So they said, "We came with him." Listen to how he tells them to bury the bodies. They say that the first time, what did he do? He drew a line. He said, "I want you to come and bury the following bodies in this area." They said that he went to another area and he drew a line. He said, "Bury the following bodies in this area." Then he went to another area and he drew one line. He said, "I want you to bury one body in this area." They said, when we began to bury the bodies, we put them in their 3 different sections. We then said to him, "Oh man, can you tell us who these bodies are and why you have split them into sections?" He said, "The first section is for the 17 of the family of Muhammad who were killed in Karbala." They said to him, "The second area, who is it for?" He said, "This second area is for the 72 companions who were killed in Karbala." They said to him, "This third area, who is the third area for?" He said, "That third area is alone for Habib ibn Mabahir." Habib ibn Mabahir received his own area. 72 companions had their area. The 17 of Ahlul Bayt had the third area. He said to them, "Now I am going to bury my father, Abu Abdullah al-Hussein." Do you know what they say to him? They said, "But we tried to bury him. Do you want us to help you?" He said, "No, I do not want anyone to help me. I have people who will help me." The angels were going to come and help me. Only an imam can do ghusl, and only an imam can bury another imam. But listen to how he buries his father. It is narrated he walked towards his father's body and he kissed his father from the neck area. Normally when you bury a person, when you bury him, what do? Normally you take his head and you lay his head on his cheek, on the dust. Yet Abu Abdullah's head is not in Karbala for him to bury him like this. So what does he do? He turns around to Banu Asad. Listen to his words. He says, "Oh Banu Asad, do you mind giving me a prayer mat?" Listen to what the poets say. The poets say, "Oh Sajjad, do you want a prayer mat in order to perform sujood?" "No," he replied. "Oh Sajjad, do you want a prayer mat in order that you perform your ruku'?" "No, Sajjad." "Oh Sajjad, do you want a prayer mat in order that you stand in qunut?" "No," he says. They say to him, "Oh Sajjad, why is it then you ask us for a prayer mat?" He replies, "The reason I ask you for a prayer mat is to gather my father's body parts in the prayer mat. I want to gather my father's limbs in one prayer mat. There has been no one to gather his limbs." He comes, he gathers his father's limbs. The first thing he does, he gets Ali Asghar's body and buries it near his father. For his father has requested that this 6-month-old, I want you to bury him next to me after I die. When he has finished, he then turns round towards Banu Asad and he says to them, "Oh Banu Asad, is there anyone else which I am meant to bury in Karbala?" Listen to what they reply. They reply, "There is a body by the river Euphrates, who when we lift it on one side, the other side falls off." You all know whose body I am going to now. They say, "When we lift his right side, the left side falls. When we lift the left side, the right side falls. Oh man, we cannot bury that man by the Euphrates." Imam is narrated, what happens? Imam is narrated to have run towards the Euphrates saying, "Oh Abu Fadl al-Abbas." He comes forward next to Abu Fadl's body. He tries to lift the body from one side, but the body falls the other way. He lifts the body from the other side, but the body falls the other way. And so he gathers the body parts of Abu Fadl and buries them in Karbala. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. سيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب واللعنة الدائمة على القوم. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the following dua. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. اللهم إنا نرغب إليك في دولة كريمة تعز بها الإسلام وأهله وتذل بها النفاق وأهله. Cry, do not be embarrassed to cry. وتجعلنا فيها من الدعاة إلى طاعتك والقادة إلى سبيلك وترزقنا بها كرامة الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم ما عرفتنا من الحق فحملنا وما غفرنا عنه فبلغنا. Ya Allah, hasten the reappearance of our 12th Imam Sahib al-Asr al-Zaman. Ya Allah, allow us to be amongst his companions. Allow us to receive the shafa'ah of Imam al-Hussein. Ya Allah, allow us to receive the shafa'ah of the family of Hussein. Allow us to receive the shafa'ah of the companions of Hussein. Inshallah, the majority